Unpredictable Radio
Hey, Steve.
number 2.
Where
Hi,
are you?
Blanca.
Where are we?
This is Blanca Regina. I'm Steve Beresford, and we're in Raven Row.
Are you sleeping?
Yeah, I'm getting quite sleepy now. Yeah.
Oh.
Raven Row is a beautiful building near Brick Lane, and over the road from Ottolenghi, who do a nice cup of coffee. That's handy. And we're presenting various performers tonight. Douglas Benford will perform. I can see he's got a very small harmonium, for instance. And Iris Garrelfs has a very small amplifier and a small microphone. She'll be doing something with Matthias Kispert, who seems to have a laptop. So that's going to happen shortly. And it's going to go on until about 8 o'clock, I think, or perhaps a little bit afterwards. But first up we have Chor Guan, who's going to be playing the theremin, which is an instrument I'm very fond of. Do you know about the theremin, Blanca?
Yeah.
You do?
Who was this lady playing the classical? It was you have all these stories of Leon
Yes.
Theremin, no?
Yeah, there are many stories, but we're not going to be telling the stories about him. But I think I might ask Guan what attracted him to this unique instrument. It's still one of very few instruments.
But maybe
that's
he
played.
plays first, no?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. I leave you with one then.
Okay.
Okay, Steve.
Guan, take it away, please. Thank you very much, Guan. Would you like to come over here and talk to me for a couple of minutes?
Sure. Thanks.
So, tell me what attracted you to the theremin.
I began to play electronic organ when I was young.
Like a Hammond organ?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like a electronic organ somehow.
Yeah.
And when I come across electronic instrument, which is the very first electronic instrument, theremin, I was totally like freak out, like, oh, this is the very first electronic instrument. It's not the it's not the electronic organ. And the most shocking part is there's no physical touch at all.
It's extremely shocking, isn't it? Yeah.
And it related to my dream. I want to be astronaut when I was young.
Really?
Yeah. And I found this instrument is so close to my dream.
Yes, it's a sort of astronaut's musical instrument. I think you're right. Yeah, if they played anything, it would be a theremin. Yeah. And are you acquainted with this book called Sounds in Z by Mr. Smirnov?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Because it turns out that in Russia, around that time, this is the 1920s, isn't it? It was invented. There were lots of people doing extraordinary things with electronic music. But when Stalin came to power, he didn't like this music at all. So they had to hide all their instruments in the cupboards and things in universities. So yes, but theremin, Mr. Theremin, because he developed the instrument in Russia, I believe, and then moved to America, didn't he?
Yeah.
Where he became a bit of a star, I think. Yes. And Blanca was trying to remember the name of the famous virtuoso.
Yeah, Clara Rockmore.
Clara Rockmore, that's right. And he became a star not only for making theremins, but he made other instruments, didn't he?
Yeah, he made all sort of other instruments too. Somehow, I think he also, because this is so much like an antenna, so it relates to television too somehow. So I read some article. He actually invented the television somehow.
I read that somewhere as well, which is pretty damn amazing.
Yeah.
But then he went back to Russia and supposedly worked for was it the KGB?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also in mid-30, he started up a trio, which is all electronic instrument. One with theremin and the other two with other. I mean, it's quite an unknown electronic instrument.
Yes. Ooh, yes. So there's still lots to discover about early electronic music. Yeah. But you play it regularly for theremin. I mean, in fact, you sat in with us, the London Improvised Orchestra, a couple of weeks ago at Eclectic in Lambeth. That was great. And you seem to have techniques that I haven't seen used by any other theremin player.
Yeah, I'm trying to coordinate with a lot of movements. I even have some project that I upside down the theremin.
Oh, an upside down theremin.
Yeah, put it like hang it on the ceiling.
Oh,
and
great!
Have dancers dancing underneath of the theremin, and create sort of like trio, but also sometimes a kind of soundscape like stuff.
Have you performed that, or is this still in development?
Yeah, I did it when I was in Malaysia.
Okay, you're originally from Malaysia, I believe. Okay. Ooh, that sounds really exciting. In fact, I believe theremin invented a room to be played by the movement of dancers.
Yeah.
And but nobody could get it right. I think it was just too complicated. I'm still bemused that anybody can play the theremin in tune. Yeah. In fact, is that the biggest challenge when you play?
Yeah, I think the most challenging when you first pick up the instrument is about your body orientation. It's totally in a different kind of situation because you try to move as less as you can. If not, it will affect your intonation. Yes. So you need to stand as still as you can. Yes. And every time you step into the instrument, you have a different tuning because it doesn't have physical. Oh no. Yeah. Okay. So it's very much that you work with the muscle memory as well as a lot of spontaneous, like your ears and your gesture.
Yeah. So I mean, speaking as a piano player, I'm still amazed that violinists can play in tune, but they have something to press against. But a theremin player has just air.
Yeah.
So yes, it must. The muscle memory must be super important.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So recently, they brought out the Theramini. Are you acquainted with this?
Yeah, I tried some time ago.
But you weren't impressed.
I still prefer the analog.
I think, yeah. Pat Thomas, I don't know whether you know Pat Thomas, the improvising musician. So he has a Theramini. And of course, I suppose it's kind of cheating, isn't it? Because it quantizes pitch if you want, so it puts everything into tune.
Yeah.
So that challenge for the theremin player isn't there anymore in a way. And it also looks like something out of Star Trek, doesn't it?
Yeah. But I mean, with Theramini, because it's all with the fit-in, plug-in effects in one machine, it's very suitable to this era because it's like on the go.
Yes.
It's like a takeaway.
Takeaway theremin. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So
But I mean, anyway, with this analog theremin, you still can always plug into laptop, computer, or even like with pedals.
Yeah.
It still function as same as theramini.
And there are a lot of people still playing this instrument. I mean, what's her name? She's on Sadik, on John Zorn's label. I can't remember her name.
Actually, Rob Schwimmer.
Ah, Rod Schumer. Okay.
Yeah. He's playing perfect. Like
really
good theremin.
And do you think that they're moving into, because I mean, if we listen to what Clara Rockmore played, it was mainly romantic music, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And 19th century romantic music, the Dying Swan, or those kind of things. But you're playing more contemporary music, and I'm presuming Rod Schumer is as well.
Yeah. I do play lyrical music or melodic music when I practice at home.
Yes.
So it won't disturb my neighbor.
Oh, well, that's very thoughtful of you.
So they were like, oh, this sounds like a nice instrument. I can't really rehearse or practice like something my neighbor doesn't like, because they will start complaining and I don't have a place to practice anymore.
I totally see the point. Well, we've got to wrap up, but just tell us, are you playing in London soon?
Yeah, coming up, I'll be doing a workshop, like a theremin a cappella.
Oh, excellent.
I'm recruiting people who has theremin to bring along to eclectic.
Oh, eclectic again. Excellent. Really good.
We're going to make a circle.
Okay.
And then we will play some games, like theatrical games, to create music together.
Okay, that sounds brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, I will look out for that.
Yeah.
Radio watchers who would like to know more about that, eclectic is spelled I-K-L-E-C-T-I-K. It's not the normal spelling of that word, so look it up. Can you remember the date? I can never remember dates. But
it's the last Saturday
of March.
This month.
Okay, last Saturday of March.
11 to 1 o'clock.
Great. I think that sounds like fun. I might come along myself just to watch. Good.
Yeah.
So, okay, so Blanca is sorting out things over there.
No, I'm over here.
Oh, you're over here now.
Hey, Guan,
okay.
thank you for coming.
Yes, thank
How
you for
was
coming,
playing
Guan.
with streaming? You don't listen to yourself.
It's really cool because it's like you're playing in a different zone. Because when you hear yourself, you are in somehow delay.
Oh, so thank you.
It's very magical. It's like in the time tunnels.
Yeah, you're so patient. So we are live from Raven Row on streaming with a couple seconds of delay as we play here. Now it's reaching to you. So it's always like that. So let's move on with the radio. I think we have a video to watch and then we keep on in conversation.
Okay, so whose video is this?
Let's keep it superconductr.
Superconductor. Okay, well, I'm sure everybody in this room is a super something, but we only have one superconductor. Okay, can we run that now? Excellent. Good.
We appreciate you taking the time to contact
Okay, can I?
Amazon Mechanical Turk regardless of whether they had been answered. Due to this violation of the participation agreement, any remaining funds in your prepaid hit balance have been forfeited. For more information, please review the terms of our participation agreement, as well as the hit listing policy available here. I have forwarded your account information to our investigations department for review.
Is this a box? I'm looking for the person. I think is this. Hey, hi, hey, hey. Steve leaves me always in this situation. Hello, hello.
Hi.
Oh. I was like getting crazy. It's like, am I talking to a box? So, welcome to Unpredictable Radio, very unpredictable streaming. We are with,
Matthias Kispert.
now is Matthias Kispert, because I was thinking,
I work for a research institute called Superconductr.
oh wow, yeah. Yeah, it says he's been doing a lot of research. Can you let us know about superconductor?
Superconductr conducts artistic research into precarious labor on digital platforms. That might sound a bit abstract, but if you think about mobile phone apps or computer platforms where you can just hire people with a few clicks of a mouse or a button, like hiring a taxi through a mobile phone app or ordering your food. But there's many different other ways that this is done, which includes you can hire graphic designers, you can hire people to transcribe your receipts for you, etc., etc. So that's digital platforms where people work on a piecework basis. So you get hired for a job. Once you finish the job, you kind of fire it again, and then you wait for the next one to come in.
Wow. So, you're a musician, everybody knows a lot about you because you work with this collective called Diffuse, and they do these audiovisual experiences. And then you were working a lot as a sound art teacher in London, and then after being a long time a teacher, you decided to go back to study. Why?
I'm in a PhD program at the moment.
It's a PhD problem.
Problem? Yeah, you could see it like that. Yeah. Well, it was in a way, I'm still doing those things. Maybe sort of to a lesser extent now, because I kind of need to focus on the studies I'm doing and the research I'm doing. But I just wanted to broaden out. I wanted to expand the kind of practice that I do, and I really wanted to engage with social issues. Question the sort of the things that are happening around me, and see how I can kind of interpret them. Or how an artistic interpretation of them could maybe throw light on certain things in a different way that maybe theory does or activism does. So here I am.
So what we saw in the video, you did all of that video. Let us know a little bit more.
Well, I'm using for this particular video, I've used an artistic method that's generally called delegated performance, where as an artist you pay someone else to perform for you. And you give them instructions, you choose a person, for a particular reason, you give them instructions, and then you ask them to do something. So what this person is someone I hired through a website called Fiverr, where I've paid them $5 to perform a text that I gave them in ASMR style. And ASMR is like an online subculture where people create these videos that are meant to create this kind of spine-tingling sensation in viewers. So there's a lot of whispering involved and like tiny sounds. It's ASMR stands for, I think, asynchronous sensory meridian response or something like that. That's kind of the tingling in your spine, and you feel when someone's very intimate with you. So you get these videos where people recreate this feeling of intimacy. But I've given them a text to read that I received from another website where I was doing research and eventually they just canceled my account. They just kicked me out because they said I violated their terms and conditions. They never told me which terms and conditions I violated, but I just took this series of emails where I gradually just got sort of kicked out and made her re-perform that in this kind of soothing, comforting way. And I thought it was interesting in several ways in terms of this kind of, when you work in a very precarious way, where your jobs are very insecure, then it's quite easy to get anxious. And at the same time, as an artist, what you end up doing a lot is send out applications for different places where you want your art to be accepted, or where you want to get an opportunity to create a new project. And as an artist as well, you have to deal a lot with those rejection letters, right? So for me, that was a way of kind of translating that into something different.
Oh wow, that's like very clever. Wow, yeah, how you came out and then somehow discover that there is this kind of world that is massive, and how are you going to address all these issues from an artistic mind? So it's very creative. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah.
When are you finishing this PhD? Is it going to be soon?
It's going to be about another year.
That's what they say. Always people say it's always 1 year more. How many years does it take?
Well, it's 3 year research, and then about up to 1 year write up, where you just sit there and write your thesis, finish your thesis. Also, next week I'm going to have an exhibition with my PhD colleagues, like a big group show with 19 different artists, which opens on Thursday at Ambika P3 in London, in Marylebone.
Oh wow, that's an amazing space. What are you going to present?
Well, this video is going to be part of it. It's going to be a couple of video works. Also, one audio piece where I paid people to laugh for a minute. So that's going to be there. And what else? Well,
I would prefer not to.
Oh yeah. This is a famous phrase. Some might know it. It's from a book by Herman Melville. Who's very well known for Moby Dick. But he wrote this text called Bartleby, the Scrivener, which is about a copyist in a Wall Street law firm. So this place, I think, in the 19th century. So if you wanted to copy a text, you actually have to do it by hand. So this person who runs a law firm in Wall Street hires this guy as a scrivener to copy text for him. But every time you ask him to do anything, he just says, "I would prefer not to," and just sort of retreats quietly. And he never fires him. So the whole thing just goes on and on and on. And this Bartleby just kind of hangs in there. And every time you ask him to do anything, he just says, "I would prefer not to."
So are you using this strategy now?
Well, for me, it's just a sort of question of, engaging with this question of work, in a broader sense, and the sense of, why people work in different kind of types of conditions, and what could be done to maybe also fight for improved conditions for certain groups, and sometimes refusing work is one of those things you can't do, obviously. Going on strike, for example.
Good. Are we striking now? Well, no, there was a strike today. We have live message online from musician John Butcher that was stopped somewhere. He couldn't make his radio program tomorrow because he's traveling to Brussels, and there was a strike. Where about? Again, I don't know how to pronounce it. Steve? Is Steve in the room?
No.
No, it's not Steve. Well, no, La Haya in Spanish. How do you pronounce this in English?
What's that?
La Havre. I don't know.
The Louvre?
No.
No?
It's fine. Anyway, very good musician John Butcher is somewhere in the middle of Europe, not being able to travel to his radio program tomorrow because there was a strike because of the Brexit situation that we don't know where it's going to happen. I know everybody's very bored about Brexit, but we are here in solidarity to our colleague John Butcher that is in the middle of a strike somewhere in Europe, not being able to travel because there is this Brexit situation. Anyway, I'm talking too much.
Okay.
What's next?
What's next? I can't really tell you, to be honest. There's a couple of things that I'm thinking about, but until I've actually made them, I can't really tell you.
Are you like Anish Kapoor is like everything mega secret, and are you going to buy the black color now and we cannot use it? Oh, maybe. Anyway.
No, everything's free for everyone to view and use. Okay.
Okay, so we are going to swim in the in the swimming pool video.
Okay.
That's presented by Matthias Kispert. So while they prepare for performing with Iris Garrelfs, that later Steve will interview, we are going to swim in Matthias Kispert's video. What's the title of the video?
Oh, the video is called Dark Pool. That's something from a couple of years ago, a piece I did for 4 singers. And there's a kind of link between what I do now and then, because that's where I started getting really interested in liquidity as a theme, which is very much linked to, I'm very much so linked to the financial crisis and the fact that, money was just kind of surging around everywhere and then suddenly disappearing. So I did a piece in a swimming pool with 4 singers where, all the libretto was based on various bits of research I did about the financial crisis. And the way that, now I can buy workers as well with like the push of a button is again, this makes work itself it turns into a kind of liquid thing. So yeah, so in a way, what I'm doing now kind of started already with Dark Pool. So yeah, enjoy.
Dark Pool.
You're on the side of hard-working families. Accelerate succession, monetary discipline, and innovation. Enterprise growth, a competitive market jobs. Celebrate success. We are on the side of hard-working families and innovations.
You are walking in the middle of a desert. You are thirsty.
I am thirsty.
In the distance, you see water.
But this is not really water. It is a mirage. It is a mirage.
There's a guide with you who tells you, look, this is not really water.
Temptation to go there is always there because you are so thirsty. Put an effort into contemplating that what you see is not what it is. It is a continuous set of movements. It exists and then it disappears and it reappears as another thing that you count again.
You have taken time off from your job at an investment bank.
You are standing at the summit of a mountain. The air is clear, free. A beautiful landscape stretches into the distance. The whole world is nothing more than a flotation or a river floating like a
Iris will walk a short distance over here and we can talk about her work a bit. So that was Matthias Kispert and Iris Garrelfs, who's now joining me. How you doing?
Good.
Good.
Yes.
I'm surprised that more singers don't use electronics, you know.
Depends how you define singers.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I define you as a
I
singer.
don't sing.
But you have sung songs in the past, haven't you?
Yeah,
I've seen you
yeah.
sing songs.
Yeah. Not songs as such, more
Really?
sort of melody-ish.
All right,
things.
melody-ish
Yeah.
stuff, yes.
But more harmonic things, definitely.
Yeah. But in fact, you were using just a little tiny battery amplifier, and is that microphone kind of standard?
It's the cheapest and the crappiest microphone that you could possibly
Very
buy.
good.
Yes.
I'm impressed. Yes. Well, I think singers out there should be going, ooh, this is an interesting area.
Yeah. I just love the immediacy and the kind of the very physical response that you get from that little
absolutely
thing, and sort of the shapes that you can get with that.
Yes.
That reminded me a little bit sort of the theremin, that although you have something to touch, it's sort of quite sculptural from the sound itself.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that? Is that a new thing? Using the little mic and the little amp?
I'm not sure. A year maybe, a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so portable.
It is.
Yeah, you can almost put all your gear in your pocket.
I could have it definitely in my handbag. Yes.
Yeah, in a handbag.
In a
definitely.
handbag.
Yes.
I brought the laptop and everything along as well, just because I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. But that takes a lot more carrying power than that.
Yes, it definitely does. Yes, much more faffing about.
Yes.
I'm all for no faffing about at all.
Yes.
Like plugging in, pressing go, and just doing it.
And see what happens.
Yeah. So we're gonna see a film by you in a minute, or a film of a performance by you.
It's a performance of Lauschen, which is a German word and means eavesdropping or close listening. And it's a piece for improvised voice and environment, and for listening cones, which are basically kind of ear trumpets that the audience gets.
They get ear trumpets?
They get ear trumpets, well, cardboard ear trumpet type things.
The ears aren't cardboard, the trumpets are
well,
cardboard.
some people's ears might be cardboard. Yes, and so I walk around in the audience and interact with the speaker, with the ear cones and the people and the space. And it's the idea is of just because you only have it on one ear, it's kind of quite a sort of strange listening experience, and just sort of to retune the whole listening environment. And we were talking about John Cage and the Water Walks, and I'm totally hamming it up on that one.
Oh, okay.
So it's a very hammy to the audience performance.
Yes, we just just to explain to our listeners. So we did talk earlier about the film of John Cage in the mid-50s doing a performance that he'd written, the piece he'd written specifically to be shown on television, that involved a bath, some flowers, a piano, radios,
ice cubes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it is genuinely extremely amusing.
It's absolutely amazing. I love that piece. Yeah.
And I said that, in fact, when I'd done a show at the South Bank, we, without telling anybody, we had Harry Hill, the comedian, resuscitate this piece.
Yeah.
And I didn't know Harry Hill that well, although I admire his work greatly. But I thought he might be tempted to ham it up a bit. But in fact, he did quite the opposite. It was a very... and of course, it made it much funnier in that he did this fairly ridiculous set of things involving electric fish and pouring water and squeaky ducks and things. And so that's
anyway,
a great,
watch it on YouTube if you haven't. It's called Water Walk.
Water Walk John Cage. We can recommend it. But now, are we ready to go over there?
Oh, and one thing, just for plugging, I'm playing on the 29th on the Brexit date talking about Brexit Blanca, at Scale Down in Fitzrovia. Is that Fitzrovia? Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It's on Foley Street.
It is
Actually.
on Foley Street in a pub.
Always like the fact that it's Foley Street. That's nice.
And it's one of the most amazing events because it's really quirky. It's upstairs in a really strange pub.
And
yes.
it's the first place that Bob Dylan performed in London.
You're kidding?
I think it is.
Marvellous. I didn't realise.
Yeah, that upstairs room. It's a very nice room upstairs.
It's a very nice room.
Yeah. So, okay, Foley Street on the 29th.
29th, yes, in commiseration. But it might not happen. I mean, the 29th.
Oh my God, I'm touching wood. Okay, so this is Eavesdropping or Lauschen by Iris Garrelfs. strange applause in some sort of delay system over
Is that in
there.
the comment section?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, yes. Yes, so I noticed, can we run through the instrumentation?
You can, yeah.
Yes. Well, of course I noticed the tiny Indian harmonium, which I know you bought from jazz musicals.
I did, it's got a faulty note now. I don't.
Oh no!
Because it makes a mooing sound like one of those baby toys that goes, you know, when you do that. So I can play that on occasion, but I didn't tonight.
Yes.
Other than that, I've put a lot of sticky tape holding notes down because that gives me more hands.
Yes, it's a good idea. Yes.
Because the trouble with the organ is you have to be pumping it backwards once.
Absolutely. Yes. In medieval church organs had small boys doing that, didn't they? I think at the time before they had electricity.
That's a whole can of worms. So
Yes, we won't go into that. All right. And a xylophone, a glockenspiel, more free reed instruments, including a melodica, which is a.
I don't think there is a glockenspiel. Oh yeah, there's a tiny
There is.
baby's. There's like a baby's glockenspiel.
A
It's almost the
baby's
size.
glockenspiel,
Yeah, it's the kind
yes.
of glockenspiel you almost get out of a cracker. I think. It's
Yeah,
that size.
almost,
It's a micro one. Yeah.
I think we both rather enjoy going to pound shops.
Yeah.
Would that be true to say?
I do like going to pound shops, but then I like to, and Tiger as well. But I like to combine that with, you know, the vibrating insects. And,
Yeah, the vibrating insects, which Tiger used to. If those of you who don't know, Tiger is a chain from Denmark or Sweden?
it's actually
Denmark?
fully called Flying Tiger.
Flying
actually, is the
Tiger,
full
it's
name,
called
yeah.
now. So this magnificent, what do we call this? I don't know. The name of the
Hoarding.
radio station. Hoarding. It's
Electronic hoarding.
electronic hoarding was from Tiger just the other day, 2 days ago.
Yeah,
I bought the electronic, and Blanca's making. You see, I don't know what she's trying to gesture. She's saying, "I need my haircut."
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she says that I need a haircut. So,
going.
now she's giving proper producer gestures that actually make sense, rather than telling me to have my hair cut. So I think we've got to start. I'm so sorry, Douglas.
Oh,
That was
that's
a bit
fine. I've
abrupt.
got enough things to say. Yeah.
Oh no, not at all. No, it was delightful. Thank you so much.
Right.
Just tell us where you're playing next.
I'm going to play with the London Improvised Orchestra next, 7th of April.
Okay, yes.
And then after that, 100 years at on the 14th of April, 100 Years Gallery. Yeah.
Have you fixed the band for that?
It's Kath Roberts, Dominic Lash, and Sylvia Hallett.
Oh, that's a very interesting combination of
Nice
musicians.
combination.
All right. So, we're going to go on now. What are we going to go on to? I think.
Steve.
Yes. Hello.
Hey.
Are you going to talk to Gina
Hey.
Southgate?
Hey.
No, pues.
What's going to happen now?
Nah.
Yeah, you're going to talk
What do you
to
want
Gina
us to
Southgate.
do?
No, I just want to remind all our audience that he was the first audience of the Unpredictable Radio 1. And he wrote in the chat, I am listening.
This is how to get a gig, everyone. Just write in the comments section.
So maybe can we make a note of how Douglas is a very good contributor on the free and the experimental art scene?
I think
in
we can
London?
make a note. Shall I make a note on this piece of paper?
No,
Douglas
just to our people.
is
the
a very
people
good.
on the network.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I am. I keep it afloat just by myself. Me and
Yes.
Steve going
So
to
do
all
you
the gigs.
float between
Yeah.
two
Whole
chairs
thing.
like,
Yeah.
I'm going to float?
Yeah. She probably. Yeah.
I can't.
I'm not sure if the interview's continuing now, or
I'm confused
whether you
myself.
want Steve or yourself
That's
to ask
good.
any
It's just
questions.
going so quickly, you know. We still have a long time. You can expand.
Filler. You want filler then?
No, it's fine. You can go if you don't want to stay. Anyway, it's good. I leave you then.
It was nice. It's nice to have Iris here as well, because years ago Iris and I used to run an experimental music club for years.
What was that
mainly
called?
Called Sprawl.
Sprawl,
It still has a
of
website.
Of course.
So Iris,
I played for Sprawl,
Yeah.
didn't I?
yes, you did.
It used to be near the meat place.
Yeah, well, we moved venues. We always had trouble. We survived a lot of venues. A lot of the venues were closed down. We were in Golden Square at one point at the Global Cafe. We started off. We went through a couple of internet cafes, which seems a very 90s thing to do now, and then a DJ bar. But it makes me laugh when a lot of the people we put on or were involved with, you see in Hollywood films now, like Daniel Pemberton
You're kidding.
He did the soundtrack to the Spider-Verse film recently.
Wow.
And also, I was watching The Revenant, that had some sounds from Vladislav Delay, and those are all people we put on, electronic people. So it makes me laugh. I think, well, what are we doing wrong? We're scurrying around in the different fields.
Wow.
We're doing something wrong.
Yeah, I haven't been in any feature films either, and I played for you, so it doesn't always work.
Yeah, well, but hang on, you've been on a film soundtrack somewhere.
Oh yeah, I've done some film soundtracks.
Yeah.
Mostly films people didn't know existed, although I thought they were quite good.
Right.
But yeah, in fact, one shot just down the road in Brick Lane, which was extremely enjoyable.
Is that a film we might have heard of?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. It was called, it was a short called Saurian Trainers. I think we had 3 or 4 songs on that, and then there was a full-length movie sort of based on the same idea called Bollywood Queen that had a lot of choreography and some nice tunes. And
probably some instruments from jazz musicals. This
probably
segment should be sponsored by jazz musicals.
Yes. What is the name of the road they're in? Chiltern Street.
Baker Street. I got mine from the Southall.
They're also in Southall.
Yeah.
Yes, there are several very good musical instrument shops in Southall. I can recommend them all.
Yeah.
And they do kind of different things, but a whole floor full of harmoniums.
It's good we've moved away from the whole pound shop tiger thing, because I feel more happy we're talking about actual professional music shops.
But in fact, your harmonium is perhaps the smallest Indian harmonium.
I heard that they've stopped making them.
They have?
Yeah.
Because they said it wasn't profitable. Because it needs almost as much work as a full-size harmonium, but doesn't cost as much.
Mm. Yeah. It's the size. I mean, I put that on my bike,
Yeah.
It's just the right size. So.
You could probably have it so that you could... Oh no, that would be difficult because you'd need 2 hands and then you wouldn't be able to actually ride the bike properly. Okay, so forget that idea. I'm sorry. Could we also, just before we move on, could we just discuss your very strange light that changes colour all the time?
The unwanted Christmas present.
That's a great name. My brother. You see, the unwanted Christmas present is a great name for an album, I think.
I got it in excuse me. I got it in a shop called Clace. Have you heard of Clace Oldston?
No, not Clace Oldenburg.
They have shops around. There's one in Ealing, one in Kingston. They just sell all kinds of different things. They're like a more practical Tiger. I think they do a lot of DIY stuff, but they. So that is actual. It's a Bluetooth speaker with a light connection, and you can set the. It's on fading disco strobe at the moment or something like that. But it does different lights. I had it in my kitchen for a while, and then decided it was useless, except for a kitchen. Like this. So it's pretty redundant. And then I'm using an iPod Touch from 2009 that won't load any other apps or work on. So that's playing the piano.
Very good.
Yeah, that's all the music specs.
Well, I'm going to ask Blanca and Gina to come and have a quick chat before we wrap up the show about these fantastic paintings. Do you think we could do that? So take over these seats. I think Blanca's not actually speaking. She's still being a director at the moment. Okay. So...
I'm going to kill you. Okay, go out of the set. I don't want more product placement. Go.
Product placement?
Thank you for the guest. Yeah, I want to say thank you.
You're bringing me over here to thank me?
Yeah, but no more product placement. You can go. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Oh, well, these guys, they are going to make us rich. We are here to promote all these brands that could nicely be partners on this show, but they are not. So anything that is product placement, we don't want it. Now we have the artist, Gina Southgate.
I feel like I'm on QVC of the improvised world.
Can you believe?
Where do you get your products? Where do you get yours, Blanca?
I buy them directly from artists. I don't have to promote low brands. This is a dress from Lubia Corres Moda, and this is art from Gina Sauge. I don't get any other cheap stuff. How is it going?
It's all right, thank you.
So
I wasn't expecting to be on. I was on last month. Maybe I'm going to become a monthly feature. If I keep bringing the paintings, I can...
Yeah, because they are amazing. So I wanted basically to talk to you about the art and how magnificently changes quickly the mood of any space. And what is this art about? And thank you for becoming the set designer of Unpredictable Radio 2.
Yeah, that was an improvisation as well, wasn't it?
Really?
Yeah. These paintings, briefly, I try to be brief, I'm never very brief. So after my dad died, my dad had this most amazing garage, and his garage was just full of stuff. He used to make stuff. He painted and he made stuff. And these two canvases were in his garage. They were damp and mouldy and ripped, and they just had these columns, these beautiful Grecian columns, all drawn out in pencil, and then one tiny corner with small brushes had been painted, and I could tell that he had this huge ambitious project in mind, and after about 5 minutes he just got completely fed up and moved on to the next project. So I found these canvases and I was really happy to have them, but the perfect place for them to be worked on by me was a people band gig that I think you put on, Unpredictable maybe, or maybe you weren't Unpredictable then, but it was definitely at Cafe Otto. I'm sure it was a people band, and I'm sure that you had organised it. You were definitely there. It was the early days of us knowing each other. So these canvases were manipulated in the real time of a people band gig at Cafe Otto. And I cannot even remember if it was just once or maybe there were 2 gigs, and I worked on them twice. I'm not sure. It feels like a lot of work to have been done in one gig. I don't know if I brought them back again. I don't know.
Wow, but yeah, it's amazing. I really like that this time it's impossible to see the musicians, because sometimes we can see
we
shapes.
Can nearly, if we see musical paintings of mine, they've nearly always got musicians in. But I do paint where I'm not looking, where I'm just listening, and I quite like that. I try not to make obvious imagery. I mean, there are some references. I mean, I would say that one is probably quite phallic, although I don't know how it ended up being that way. I think this one is a much more feminine painting. I've had them hang in portrait joined together. They were in the Sage in Gateshead, joined as one big painting in the Sage restaurant for a while. So they can, because they're not obvious imagery, I think there is no definite way up.
Wow, that's fantastic. Wow, thank you for bringing them. So you managed to get them and drive through London, because we are in London. That's something interesting. I'm not making any sponsorship of any kind at this point. And you drove to Liverpool Street. That's the center of the city. That's make it impossible to drive through because everything is forbidden. So you found a way to park nearby without ticket.
So last month, I thought I'd got a fine because I drove up a small alley with people drinking after work, and I made them all scatter onto the pavement. And then, and then I went round and round and round and spent hours, and I was really frustrated and I was really stressed. And today I came from City University, which is not far away, and I came here and I was really running late, and I came here in 14 minutes. I went to Liverpool Street and turned left, dumped the paintings in the door, and I'm now parked up the road. It's all...
That's fantastic.
So I know how to do it now.
Next time, a little video of how you bring the paintings into the studio.
Today it was feasible. I've got a car full of paintings. I've been in Charlton delivering a painting. I've been in City University looking at that big project that I talked about last time that I'm doing for the university. And then I thought, okay, I'm going into the congestion charge. Load some paintings for that Unpredictable Radio programme. And I thought these would be good because they're big and they're abstract. So
they're amazing. Yeah, touching, like, no, I cannot touch. But
Yeah, you can touch.
Yeah, I can touch.
You
yeah.
can rub, Blanca.
That's
You can touch. You can rub. You can play them. However you want. They have, after all, they had a life. They lived in a garage. This one, I think, has got a rip somewhere. There's rips on some of them. You can see the unprimed canvas underneath. They're really nice at the back as well. Actually, I'm going to hold them up because they're just...
And they can be vertical or they are meant to be only horizontal. Hey, Gina, are you there?
They're just beautiful.
Yeah, but the other way around. Hey, Gina, where are you?
So are we turning into a comedy act now?
No,
I'm going, Blanca.
No,
I'm
okay,
here.
let's go.
Bye-bye.
Is this the time of finishing the program?
I don't think so. I think you've got 10 minutes. You can have it and we could play or
Okay,
do something.
great. Hey, Gina.
As a group. I think we
Hey,
need
come
to...
out. It's fine.
I
There's
think
nobody
we need
here.
to call some other artists back.
Oh, well. Okay, great. So I'll keep in the door. We have 5 minutes left. And it's fine. We're not going to read tarot. We're not going to promote any more brands. This will be the program for today. Maybe Steve wants to join me for a quick bite. Steve Beresford.
She's here.
She was hiding behind the painting the
No,
whole
she
time.
wasn't, was she?
Who would have ever have known that?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Gina.
Gina Southgate.
So Blanca, off the top of your head, when is our next broadcast?
Well, I don't know. From the top of my head, nothing is possible. I know that soon. So keep in touch. And there from production, I'm not like making like a quick weird remark of how they are fingering us. They are fingering us.
I think that's an unfortunate phrase in English. It might be all right in your language, but in English it means something slightly different.
My language is your language. This is one word. Anyway, I think fingering is not good in any language. Anyway.
Well, speak for yourself.
Oh, well, I don't take my colors out. So no makeup, just pure love. So basically, next dates are 12th of April. No, it's wrong. We'll be here in May again. Just keep in touch. Follow us on all our social network with hundreds of thousands of followers, hundreds of thousands of partners putting money for us to make this program better. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And we should thank Pierre, Alessandro. We should thank Matthias again, Iris, Douglas, Guan. We've missed somebody out, haven't we?
No, Gina.
Gina, of course. Yes, excuse me.
Okay, and we have the dates. So 10th of May, Unpredictable Radio 3.
10th of May.
Yeah.
Okay,
We don't know what's going to happen.
No, but
No.
there'll be. I hope there'll be some more paintings by Gina that we can look at.
I know what they are already.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Even bigger.
Great, so thank you everybody here on the Raven Row. Just join us to like a final thing. Like, let's see if everybody can fit in the frame. One, not with the theremin because it has cables. Iris Garrelfs, Douglas Benford, Matthias Kispert. Superconductr is going to come. There's actually a living human box. Gina is like a living human canvas. And we have a living human box. This was the best end for our show. Box and painting. This could be like a nice, what do you think?
Oh, I think it's excellent. Yeah, I like it very much. Yes.
Yeah, it's a moving painting and a sculpture human box. Yeah.
The way you do, you always have that at the end of radio programs.
This is not radio.
Well, it's called radio.
Oh, well, but it's not radio.
Oh, well, perhaps people can tell us what we should call it then.
Oh, well, next time you can tell us how to call the program. Yeah. Thank you, Steve Beresford.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
It's like Blue Peter.
Oh,
unpredictable badge soon.
Oh yeah, an enamel one.